Thank you to Squarespace for sponsoring today's video. This is a weird way to start a rock climbing video, but did you guys ever read the Percy Jackson series, those books about Greek gods? I promise this is going somewhere. In those books, there was this imaginary flame that moved wherever the center of Western civilization was. This is really dumb, but I've always liked to imagine a similar thing in rock climbing, this made-up flame that goes wherever the best climbers in the world are. In the 50s and 60s, it was in Britain with Joe Brown, Don Willens, these hardcore trad climbers. In the 70s, it was in America with the Stonemasters. Then it went to Europe with names like Jerry Moffat, Wolfgang Gulich, and the Huber brothers, taking over in the 80s and 90s until 2003, when Chris Sharma brought it back to America. You had names like Dave Graham, Daniel Woods, Ethan Pringle also pushing the envelope. Now it's back in Europe with Janja, Andra, Stefano, Seb. The best climbers in the world are European, with an honorable shout out to Japan for sort of ruling the competition scene. Recently, though, something is brewing in America. Tracing back to the 90s, the USA has slowly been building up the infrastructure and training programs to give rise to a super team. I'm not sure how far it'll go yet, but there's a massive pool of young, strong American talent who are just starting to hit their stride. Who are these climbers who are breaking records and doing things we've never seen before? Can they stand up to the likes of Janja, Adam, and Tamoa? And with some of the European crushers nearing 30, will America once again be the center of the climbing world in 10 years? 2022, the first full season of comp climbing after COVID, was a great one in so many ways, but one thing stood out to me above all. Team USA, where a bunch of climbers, all of who are fairly young, started making a serious push for podium placements. These American comp kids are one of the first examples of a group who have really grown up climbing indoors, and it shows. In the past 5 years, we've seen how well Japanese climbers have done with their familiarity with indoor climbing, and I think you're starting to witness some of the same stuff from the Americans, so how are they doing it? It starts, weirdly enough, in the 1990s when this guy, Didier Raboutou, offered some shoe puff to her, Robin Erbisfield. Both of them, at the time, were two of the best competition climbers in the world, at a time when competition climbing was just starting to find its footing and get popular. Comp climbs went through a boom in the 80s and 90s, and then it sort of died down in the 2000s when climbing media went in a different direction. Led by figures like Chris Sharma, Dean Potter, Tommy, and Alex, you saw this resurgence of the outdoor-based, hippie-centric world of climbing. Films like Real Rock and Dawn Wall focused on outdoor ascents, and many of the best climbers in the world saw competition climbing as more of a side hobby. Around 2014, that started to swing back. The old guard of American climbers were slowly being replaced by a group of insanely strong Europeans who, while mainly focused on the outdoors, took their competitions seriously. There were other changes going on too. Competition sets became more accessible and entertaining, the IFSC's camera work and production quality spiked, and climbing was announced as an Olympic sport. Suddenly, competition climbing was back in the mainstream. Ever since then, it's been the Europeans and Japanese who have dominated the competition scene and, for the most part, the Olympic podium. Now though, things are beginning to change. Remember Robin and Didier? They ended up getting married and moving to America, where they opened something called the ABC program. According to climbing.com, ABC was the country's first climbing gym, which Robin says, "I created because my kids were stoked on climbing and there just wasn't much of a community for young climbers at the time." Through the ABC program, some of the US's most promising prospects, names like Brooke Raboutou, Colin Duffy, Margot Hayes, and Natalia Grossman, have been raised under the tutelage of one of the best competition climbers from her era. They've learned from a young age to be comfortable on competition-style climbs, and they've had the benefit of training, working, and improving together. It's important to note that I can't only give credit to the ABC program because not every athlete has come from it. What a lot of these young American climbers have in common, though, is that they're all starting to just hit their stride on the international scene with some really impressive results. So, who are these young climbers who I keep talking about? We'll start with perhaps the best known, Brooke Raboutou. Brooke is the daughter of Robin and Didier and has been described as climbing royalty. She's been in the media since before her teenage years, and we've had the pleasure of watching her grow into her role as a top-ranked climber. I've done a full analysis of Brooke that you should check out, but in short, she uses incredible footwork, great flexibility, and creative beta reads to overcome difficult problems. Further, she's been getting more and more confident on the competition scene, and I think it's really unlocking the best in her climbing. Brooke's coming out party to me was the Olympics. This might be an unpopular opinion, but no one impressed me more than Brooke did on the Olympic stage. Up until this point, she had only medaled, not won, medaled 3 times on the international stage, and yet she looked so comfortable on the bouldering wall. Aside from Yanya, she was the best boulderer in the field, and if not for an early slip in lead climbing, I really think she would have cracked the podium. Her teammate Nathaniel Coleman actually did crack the podium, putting on the performance of a lifetime to win the silver medal. Before we get to Nathaniel, a quick word from today's sponsor, Squarespace. Squarespace is an all-in-one platform for building your online presence. Whether it's an informational blog, an e-commerce store, or just something to build your own personal brand or explore different hobbies, Squarespace can help you with their integrated tools that allow you to build websites without needing to code. It's easy to link your socials, you can offer exclusive content to your members, and their analytics let you track everything within one platform. Go to squarespace.com/ascensionism for 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain, and use the link in the description to get started building your own personal online platform. I said that Brooke impressed me most, but there's a good argument that Coleman actually had the best performance. He outclimbed the likes of Adam Ondra, Tomoe Narasaki, and Jakob Schubert. He was the only climber to top Boulder 2 with this brilliant toe hook, and he showcased exactly what makes Team USA scary. This new type of climber, absolutely comfortable on parkour-based problems, and yet with enough traditional skill and deep endurance to keep up on slab routes and the lead wall. Albert Oak has a great video on Nathaniel Coleman, highlighting how his hip placements and balance, among everything else like his insane strength and route reading, make him such a good climber. Coleman was one of 2 American men to go to the Olympics, along with his teammate, and someone who I would say is one of the most promising young climbers in the world today, Colin Duffy. In the first draft of this script, I wrote, Colin Duffy had a great competition year. Not only is that unimaginative, it's also not exactly true. I would describe his year as tumultuous. He had a few misses. 21st in Salt Lake City, 20th in Chamonix, 41st in Brixen, but he also became the first male to ever win gold in both a bouldering and a lead event at the same World Cup. I'll repeat that. Colin did something that no one, not Ondra, not Tomoe, not Olympic gold medalist Alberto Hines Lopez, has done before. Flipping through his Instagram, it seems like 2022 was a lot about learning for Colin. He talks about his life being hectic, and he literally went from high school graduation to competing as a professional athlete, and facing burnout from the long season, but the foundation is all there for him to be a spectacular climber. He has these momentary flashes of brilliance where he just looks stronger than anyone else. Look at this. He's floating here. Look at the figure 4, the match, the Gaston. This beta doesn't work out for him, but as Matt Groom said during this competition, Colin just has these moments where it looks like he sees the boulder differently from everyone else, and he sometimes has the strength to pull it off. Case in point, Myrigan 2022. What is that? What's even crazier is that when he couldn't stick the top hold, he did this super powerful sequence 3 times in a row. While Colin and Nathaniel spent most of the season figuring out how to deal with the ups and downs of competitions, one of their teammates was the epitome of consistency and, to me, proved herself as the reigning best boulder in the world. Come on. You know who I'm talking about. It's Natalia Grossman. Of course, it's Natalia Grossman. That's right, it's my favorite climber to watch and by far the most decorated so far from the US team, and oh boy, has she set the bar high. 2022 was the year of Natalia. She started with a silver in Myrigan and then went on to win 5 straight gold medals in the bouldering field, showcasing her strength, route reading, and calm under pressure. I might get some heat for saying this, but I'm gonna say it. Natalia is the best on-site climber alive today. If you're talking about competition boulders, no one else has her ability to read a route correctly the first time and execute that beta. You do have to add a bit of an asterisk to her 2022 bouldering season because Yanya sat out, but the point still stands. Natalia had one of the best competition seasons ever, and I can't wait to see her and Garbrandt go head to head next year and hopefully in the Paris 2024 Olympics. While Natalia had a great season, she was already a well-known name. If I had to pick a breakout climber for Team USA, it would easily be Jessie Grupper. After a few years of doing well on the national scene and having a couple of podium placements on the international, Jessie really broke out in 2022, winning 4 medals and 2 golds. Climbing.com says that watching Jessie's performance in Edinburgh, commentator Danon Markey described Grupper's precise movement and perfect time management as an absolute show, and I have to agree. Jessie flows on a lead wall in a way that few people do. Look at the high feet to start this route, and then less than a minute later he does it again, sliding right into this knee bar. There's another knee bar up high, followed by a toe hook, showing just how cleverly he can climb. Another thing that really stands out about Jessie is his fight. It's kind of a stereotype to say about a lead climber, but he has an incredible ability to keep pushing. He'll look pumped out at move 20, and then the next thing you know, he's still holding on high on the head wall. He's maybe the best lead climber on the American team right now, and as he continues to get more comfortable, I can't wait to see what the future holds. In summary, the US has a lot of promising talent. Now, I don't want the takeaway from this video to be that the US clearly has the best climbers in the world, or even the most promising. They don't. You look at the field and there's just so much talent. Mejdi Schalk, Hannah Moyle, Aimori, Yoshiyuki Ogata, and I want to do breakdowns on all of them. What I'm getting at though is this. Nathaniel Coleman in an Instagram post said, "In the beginning of 2019, it was estimated that the US had a 0.01% chance of earning a medal in climbing at the Olympics. I remember silently agreeing, hoping the US could qualify 1 or 2 athletes for the games. 3 or 4 years ago, the USA just wasn't on the radar for best climber in the world conversations. Then 4 Americans qualified for Tokyo. Then Natalia beat Yanya, Coleman hit this toe hook, and Brooke found her stride. Colin took double gold, Jessie broke out, and I didn't even get to mention Sean Bailey, who sent 9B+. Team USA has blossomed in an amazing way. They're not the only promising climbers on the scene, nor are they necessarily the best yet, but they're young, they're good, and most of all, they're just really fucking fun to watch, and I can't wait to see how they all continue to grow in the coming years. Thank you guys as always for watching, and let me know in the comments, who's got the best shot at medaling in Paris 2024? Who did I miss? Does this video prove beyond doubt that I have an American bias? Give it to me straight, and I will see you all next time.